Chrissy Lampkin didn't just lose it. She broke and Cam'ron, the person responsible, leaked one terrifying audio clip. Voicemail and the whole basis of her life collapsed in real time, with no cuts or edits, just unadulterated chaos. Cam'ron didn't hold back, and the leak wasn't just messy. It was painfully leaking things Chrissy had been concealing for years. Jim Jones didn't dispute or challenge it when he heard it. Instead, he marched out of the house without turning around. That sinks in Jim Jones, the man who supported her through TV drama, street fights, and accusations of infidelity. According to reports, it's not just because of the leak. The release validates a long-running controversy. This isn't simply reality TV anymore. This is a comprehensive betrayal that goes deeper than anyone could have predicted. You're about to hear the breakdown of the most controversial hip-hop love tale ever, complete with duplicity, betrayal, and hidden clues. You're telling me that after all, they don't want the public to hear it, and that once it's out, there's no going back. Following the charges of adultery, reality TV therapy, public breakdowns, and constant criticism on Instagram. Now when Chrissy Lampkin is crying over a leaked video of Cam'ron Jen Jones, he abruptly got up and left, as if he was finished with the entire Saba baby thing. What's happening behind closed doors? This isn't just a disaster. It's radioactive. Let's not act like this is just another hip-hop and love breakdown. We're talking about something much bigger. A triangle that may not just be romantic and treachery secrets that were never meant to be revealed. However, dangerous sources with knowledge of the situation claim that a covert movie allegedly produced years ago only appeared, showing Cam'ron and Chrissy in what seemed to be a very private setting with whispers lit by candles. Spoken, and there is no sign of Jim Jones anywhere. This leak's timing is terrible because Jim was reportedly completing a promise to Chrissy, whether it be through a new proposal or a full-fledged elopement scenario, depending on who you ask. He has subsequently stormed out during a private dinner, ghosted, and not returned calls since friends are concerned that Chrissy is a wreck and that her staff is working on damage control. An insider informed us that she hasn't stopped. She has been crying since the movie came out online and claims it's not what it is, but Jim saw it and said, "I can't do this any longer." And to be honest, who can blame him? The movie is grainy and wobbly, but the Chrissy's look is dejected, and the connection between them is obvious. Yet this is weird. Cam'ron hasn't denied anything, which makes it even stranger. In fact, he posted a mysterious tweet hours. Something ought to have remained between us after the video went viral. The tweet alone has triggered a digital firestorm. Many people are now speculating as to whether this release was actually accidental or the result of deliberate retaliation. Last-ditch effort to garner attention because, let's not forget, Cam'ron and Jim have a history of not being friends. There are old scars. Some people even believe Chrissy was more involved in the Dyfed breakup than either of them. Is this video the final piece of the puzzle, or is it just the beginning of a new conflict? Let's go back to the early 2000s and see Cam'ron, Jim Jones, and Chrissy Lampkin all savoring the glitter of the Harlem fast life. Chrissy was a street celebrity with a lot of influence. She was first known as Jim's girlfriend, then as his ride or die, and eventually, when no one else would, she held him down. But there were rumors at the time that she wasn't. Jim is always by himself, and even though nothing has ever been confirmed, backstage tension is gauged by side looks, footage, dubious remarks, and interviews Cam'ron once said on a mixtape. "Keep your woman close by or she might end up with." The ghost people assumed it was simply bars, but now it's hip-hop and love. Onto the scene, Chrissy evolved into more than just a plus one. She was the main character, the spark, and the... When Emily proposed to Jim on national television, many people remember that it wasn't only romantic. It was the emotional core of the whole. It was a time in history when a woman stood up against preconceptions and demanded commitment, but there was a lot of sadness behind it. Years of feeling abandoned and unsupported have been pushed behind, and now it seems like all that effort and strength just exploded in her face with a single leak. But this is where things get suspicious, according to a trustworthy source from a... There were unseen video segments that never shown when Christy appeared, according to the Love and Hip Hop production crew. Suggested a closer bond with Cam'ron, but some of her statements didn't come through, according to the insider. She started crying and claimed that everyone had abandoned her, with the exception of one group member whom she never named. However, we all knew who she was referring to. What if that devotion went beyond limits? What if Cam'ron was more than just a friend who had her back? Jim has been very quiet. No Instagram stories, no tweets, which is odd for someone who is normally vocal. Jim's emotional outbursts are frightening. Some say he's imprisoned in Miami, while others believe he's wire-tracking. Fans are scrutinizing every frame of the leaked movie as if it were the Zapruder movie, and silence is strong. Reducing its speed, boosting the audio, and comparing tattoos to old photos, the internet has turned into a massive crime lab. And Chrissy's ending doesn't appear promising thus far. It's not just the video, it's the time. During a podcast this week, she talked about second chances, trust, and how she was at last prepared to have a child. Jim and I are stronger than we've ever been. Who would think that the statement would be followed by waking up to this? The streets are talking, hashtags are flying, and the betrayal isn't just personal, it's public. Cam'ron received receipts for free Jim Jones, who by the means is trendy but makes no sense, after Chrissy cheated on him. However, there's more. A DM was allegedly sent from Cam'ron Burner's account to a well-known. Months ago, a gossip page posed the question, "What if I told you Jim's girl was mine?" Was ignored, dismissed, and erased, but now it's being screenshotted, shared, and scrutinized like the Bible and everyone's book. Asking the same question, was this a time bomb designed to go off when the pain was greatest, or was it a slow burn plan? Somewhere, Mama Scott Young is arranging the reunion episode of A Lifetime while sipping tea and laughing. You were unable to write, but it's possible that someone else did, because there's a theory that this whole... If that's the case, someone neglected to disclose that the controversy was stage managed to gain hits contracts and influence. Many witnesses claim that Chrissy had a panic attack, since her tears are genuine and her breakdown is authentic. Screaming, "I didn't do this," while shivering and hyperventilating during a meeting. And if that's acting, give her an Oscar. Chrissy was enthralled, and it seemed like every breath they took together was silent. Her knees went weak, and she sat quietly at the edge of the velvet couch as she drew what felt like treason reverberating off the walls. She was clutching her phone as though it had just destroyed her dreams. And Cam'ron's film wasn't just filthy. It was shocking. It includes alleged voicemail recordings from years ago, where Chrissy appeared to be lame in an irate voice. Fans were excited since it was always dedicated to Jim, and even worse, she alluded to a backup plan that had always existed. Carefully analyze each phrase, even if it matches the tone of the audio in Chrissy's earlier Love and hip-hop videos on the internet. Detectives were occupied, but to make matters worse, Cam'ron posted it with a statement that threw. The comment section blew up, sending everyone into a frenzy. Chrissy was planning the entire time. Jim was focused on the false one. Meanwhile, sources said Jim Jones had driven out of their home in a black SUV with tinted windows. His face was expressionless. He hadn't spoken to Christy or sent her a single text since the clip ended. was louder than any shout, and then there was another startling discovery. A site that was known for posting shady receipts sent a picture of what they claimed was a previous text message exchange between Chrissy and Cam'ron, in which Chrissy allegedly, Cam'ron responded with a cheeky emoji and said, "I got you like I always did." After I commented, "If this goes wrong, I know." I'm not sure. People started to worry right away if Chrissy and Cam'ron carry out a covert relationship behind Jim's back. Was this a full-fledged betrayal or something else entirely? At this stage, the bloggers weren't merely reporting. They were also refreshing gossip channels and forming lines. Private conversations with the pair's alleged acquaintances, one unnamed source claiming to be a hairstylist for. In a now famous TikTok, Chrissy's social circle spilled tea. She used to laugh whenever Cam'ron's name was mentioned, as if. She remained silent on social media, despite the fact that the man wasn't her boyfriend's op. Jim Jones, Mona Scott, executive producer of. The industry started to react after Love and Hip Hop released a mysterious statement with certain information. She unfollowed. A 2007 Instagram picture of Chrissy and Cam'ron together in a private backstage setting at Unier. Situation where Chrissy's face was uncomfortably near to Cam's ear, and his hand was resting low on her waist, seemed to be previously ignored. The indisputable evidence photo was now being used like the last puzzle. Even famous people began contributing to the article. Yandandy Smith contributed a dubious tweet in which he said that karma always has the final say. Seemed brand new when the receipt was always present. In the meantime, remind me that Mel's comment underneath the blog post will cost you everything. The response was not only financial, but also digital for a number of Chrissy's businesses. Relationships began separating from a high-end wig firm. She just archived all of her joint posts. Jewelry brand canceled her upcoming ad and released an ambiguous statement about upholding trust and morals. Sources close to the rapper said that she was losing business because he has been completely absent from Miami, with no public appearances or studio sessions. In fact, a fan sent a blurry picture of him at a hotel in South Beach. This. On day 4 of the controversy, the public's sympathies began to grow, and the man's face appeared exhausted, as if he were lying on all fronts. As Chrissy's followers, who had previously viewed her as the ride-or-die girl, began to label her a mastermind, memes began to appear, featuring titles like Chrissy, the unseen antagonist of Dipset, and Plot Twist Queen, the real reason Jim never married her. Cam'ron alluded to releasing a second leak with papers that would put a stop to the drama, as it was veering into an uncharted territory. Story and Chrissy stayed silent. She is still unaccounted for. Every minute she stayed silent, the internet contributed 10 additional conspiracy layers. And just when things got worse, a new rumor started to circulate that Chrissy might have been the one to sow the seeds of suspicion years ago by pushing Jim to break off his relationship with Cam in the first place, to maintain her own secrets and control the story. The question wasn't whether Chrissy was guilty, but rather how much of, by this point, Jim's life had been impacted by her lies. It was more than simply a dispute. It was a tragic movie. Because Chrissy was disintegrating like never before, her name became viral. According to those close to the sources, Chrissy had walled alone in a secluded Hamptons house, evading the media and even severing her relationship with her closest pals. One anonymous stylist told a gossip website that she doesn't respond to anyone, not even her mother. She has been crying all day, and the floor is covered in broken glass, and her sheets are covered in makeup. It's dark. Energy in that building, but even though she broke down, the audience didn't care. They were hungry Cam'ron. Knew exactly how to deliver it. Cam made a second live appearance on Instagram exactly 1 week after the first leak. For the first 30 seconds of this film, he just stared into a document folder called the Last Straw PDF. The camera nodded and said, "Drop it and finish her," as hundreds of onlookers jammed the conversation. You all requested explanations, so let me explain why Jim lost faith in his own team, how Deppet broke apart, and why. In this line of work, loyalty is a joke. He displayed 2 old, blurry photos on the screen, but what they appear to show a Chrissy lounging next to an unidentified male at a dimly lit place, sending social media into a complete meltdown. Photo 2 of a hotel room door with Chrissy's eyes closed and his arms draped over her shoulder in a brightly lit bar. Chrissy follows 5 minutes after the mystery man arrives, according to a timed security camera photo. The camera made no mention of the man's name, but Twitter did, and within an hour, the mystery guy chart was trending, with speculation about who it was circulating. Claimed to be a well-known music industry executive. Some speculated that it was a rival rapper who had made fun of Jim Jones in a 2015 song, and the most bizarre idea was that it was an A-list actress who had a personal relationship with Chrissy. Regardless of what was true, she seemed to want a piece of his business music while she was in the music industry. The story had already changed, and things became worse when a third unnamed source said that they were a former assistant to. Mona Scott posted a voice memo that shows a woman who remarkably like Christy saying, "Cam'ron knows too much. I told him to keep quiet. I'm done, Jim, if he flips. Will actually leave me this time." The voice wasn't verified, but it didn't matter because the video became viral on blogs. Highlighted it when, in less than 2 hours, Chrissy's last confession Reddit thread received over 3,000 comments. Fans started assembling whole recordings that revealed Chrissy's purportedly deceptive tactics throughout the years. When Jim Jones appeared in New York by himself in a club show that was planned months in advance, he didn't. Rap just stepped in, he didn't perform. The VIP area with their arms crossed and drinking. Classic Dip set songs were being played by the DJ when We Fly High began, the crowd began to cheer. About Jim and Chrissy's Christy, Jones just closed without saying anything. Some claim that his eyes gave the impression that he was praying, but several people claimed he looked as though he were slowly reciting each line. Going back to Chrissy's sources of refuge, said that she was continuously followed after. She nearly went to the hospital due to a panic attack. A tabloid was informed by an anonymous ER nurse that her stress level had soared. Unable to breathe, and she repeated, "He despises me and will never pardon me. It's over." For someone who had previously controlled the most deadly circles in New York. With absolute certainty, the fall was almost unidentifiable, and right when people started to believe it. Nothing could be more toxic than a fourth. Party joined Jim's candid, unfiltered. Mother is known for being honest. Went live on Facebook and showed a lot of emotion, and took Chrissy by the weave in her mind. Told you all that she wasn't correct. Declared me to be a hater you believe I didn't. Take a peek at the small, cunning, hidden conversations. You may now see what I saw. Savage Mama Jones was right in her comment. This woman had always sought to safeguard. You all make fun of her, baby, but she doesn't. Miss, that was the last casket to be mailed in. The ride or die is Chrissy's public persona. Turned traitor, the woman who waited. It suddenly felt as though 20 years for a ring was the reason she didn't get one, and within a leaked email that is suspicious. According to media site Mona Scott, ready to revise and republish previous hip-hop and love movie with new Background: an unnamed editor said she wishes to end a dispute cut. Everything they were unable to display at the time. Now that the game has begun, this wasn't simply about treachery, it was about history of rebranding, although brands weren't simply severing their connection with Chrissy. They were suing a fashion collaboration asked for their advance return, alleging image for $60,000. Harm: another collaboration was aimed at ending and refrain from forbidding Chrissy from claiming to be their ambassador, and even while someone close to you is still missing, supposedly attempted to get in touch with her. Jim holding a handwritten letter, the note which spilled into the dimly lit chamber said, I want the truth. I don't want forgiveness. I wasn't weaponized in order to stop Ideal, but I didn't want to let you down. Loved you despite losing myself, didn't I? Who knows if it's real or not? However, fans were split, and half felt awful for her disintegration, while the other half said Jim was photographed, but it was too late. Days later, without his ring of engagement, the man who has supported her during difficult and thin was now alone out here, concentrated, and whether the tales are true, getting contacted by record-already businesses and streaming services to give his version of events in a Chrissy, a complete documentary series, remains silent and concealed, and Cam'ron. Trolling: he posted one last meme that included, I tried, using the caption to alert him, love doesn't listen. And precisely like that, the internet said Cam'ron, Jim the victim, the king of minor crime, and Chrissy, the betrayal blueprint, is not sorry. Closure is just a mess.